Now, on the docket tonight, a D.C. pastor says while members of Congress like squad member Congresswoman Cori Bush have been able to demonstrate on Capitol grounds, he's been denied a permit to hold a prayer vigil on September 11th. But Capitol Police say they have a compelling interest in limiting such activity as a security precaution in the aftermath of the January 6th Capitol riots, and that there are different permitting procedures for events involving members of Congress. Well, that pastor is suing the Capitol Police, arguing the Capitol grounds are not equally restricted to everyone. So let's bring in Reverend Patrick Mahoney and his attorney Mark Trammell, the executive director of the Center for American Liberty. Good evening, gentlemen. Good to have you with us.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Shannon.
Okay, so people know you've had several lawsuits or incursions with the Capitol Police over trying to have events, whether it was for Good Friday or Easter or now the September 11th event that you would like to have. In pushing back on one of these, the government had a memorandum in opposition to what you wanted to accomplish. This is what they said. The permitting regulations that apply to plaintiff do not apply to members of Congress. It said member of Congress and their staff don't need a permit to hold their events near the Capitol building and may request that permit applications be approved. Plaintiff, not a part of the congressional community, must comply with the regulations like all other citizens and groups. So, Reverend, what are you fighting for? And do you understand the policy that it's different for congressional members? Should it be?
Well, first of all, the United States Capitol has been known for 2 centuries as the People's House, because every American citizen can freely come there, articulate their views, share their views openly without government interference, intimidation, or harassment. For the past 18 months, that has completely changed. All permitted free speech activities have been prohibited. I've applied for 2 Good Friday services, which we've always had, National Day of Prayer, July 4th, 20th anniversary of 9/11. And Shannon, amazingly, after 35 years of working at the Capitol, we were denied. Every person should have the right to go to the People's House and air their views. What made it even more troubling was members of Congress, vendors, lobbyists, tourists were allowed to use the Capitol grounds. The only thing prohibited was peaceful permitted activities. In fact, last summer, Congresswoman Bush had an event on the steps of the United States Capitol. We had the same type of event 3 days later, and guess what? We were arrested. And Shannon, I want to say we were really arrested, not putting our hands behind our back for a theater, but we were actually handcuffed. We knew that something had to be... What's that?
I said cuffed and taken out. Let me bring Mark into this, because I want to bring in a couple of legal questions here, because I know you fought on several fronts to try to make this work. But Mark, what the courts have generally found is that, you know, for members of Congress, they have different rules for permitting because this is considered their workplace. And, you know, the argument is that the police after January 6th have a right to make sure that they take extra precautions with regard to security. So how do you respond to those arguments?
Yeah, Shannon, I think inside the Capitol is certainly a different workplace. I think the grounds outside the Capitol and down the Capitol Mall are different. You know, this is an area that is with rich history of First Amendment activity. And DC regulations actually don't permit the police, the government here, to do what it's doing. So, you know, here we have a buffer zone that's been created around the U.S. Capitol. There's actually case law on the books, Lederman versus United States, that would prohibit this very permitting scheme, this very buffer zone around the Capitol. And like Reverend Mahoney said, there's really this bizarre caste system that's been created where in an area that has been traditionally a public forum, there's been 2 sets of rights assigned. So members of Congress and their friends are able to get permits, but average Americans are not. Now this double standard is completely unconstitutional, and that's what we're fighting to correct.
Yeah, and I know, and even of some of the decisions that haven't gone your way, there have been concurrences from judges and concerns that there is something more that needs to be examined there when members of Congress may have a different set of standards than average folks or good folks, American folks like yourself, Reverend, who want to get out there. Please keep us up to date on this case. Mark and Reverend, let us know and come back, because we want to follow it as it works its way through the system. Thank you both so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Shannon.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.